And I'll tell you what, the hardest part of recording today's episode, today's review of The Mandalorian, Chapter 22, Guns for Hire, was wanting to use the thumbnail that I really wanted to use from the end of the episode. And those of you who have watched the episode are going to know exactly what shot I'm talking about. It is the closing shot of this episode. Oh my God. This is another Bryce Dallas Howard episode where she has come in and done what she's done every season and created one of the best episodes of the season. Just phenomenal across the board. There are so many cameos in this one from some really awesome actors. We're going to be diving into that, but as always, if you're new here, I don't do spoiler free. This is full of spoilers all across the board. So strap in. If you don't want things spoiled, make sure to walk away. In the meantime, those of you who've already seen the episode, let's dive in to episode 22, Guns for Hire, which is just so tasty on so many levels. So here's your countdown from 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, where are my show notes, everybody? So the opening shot here is this luxury liner of these squid people, Quarrens, who are floating through space and they're being chased by an Imperial ship, and they think that they're being chased by Imperials. And it turns out it's actually not Imperials, but it's Bo Katan's old crew, Koska, Reeves, and Woves. And Axe is now in charge of these Mandalorians who are now working as mercenaries for hire. And in this case, they are a privateer crew that have been hired to track down this ship because Captain Shugoth, who's the captain of the ship, has run away with a diplomat's son, a Mon Calamari, who is apparently wanted back at home, but he ran off with his ship captain because he's in love. And I swear I know who this voice actress is, and I cannot place her. And I'm gonna find out at some point, and it's gonna drive me nuts until then. But I couldn't, at a very quick research, I couldn't find out who she was. But I know I've heard her doing voiceovers recently in some games I play. So maybe might even have been like the Clone Wars or something that I'm watching. So I mean, I got to figure out who it is. But that's not the beginning of the cameos in this episode because it gets better than that. We then meet Bo Katan with Din Djarin in tow, landing on this lush green planet called Plazar 15, and this is where the Mandalorian fleet is at. Axe Woe is now being the leader of that fleet, and she's concerned because she's like, it's going to take a lot to convince him to join our cause. But given the intro's focus, the intro was all about the Darksaber. Like there was a ton of information about the Darksaber in that introduction sequence leading up to the first shots, so you know this is going to be a Darksaber centric episode. And that last shot that I was talking about at the beginning before I got into the spoiler stuff, this is a Darksaber episode, and it finished so well. Anyway, they get off the ship, they get on the subway, and it turns out that they have no control over where the subway is going. They've been summoned to speak with the leaders of this planet. And we meet Jack Black and Lizzo, the first of the two cameos who are here, and they turn out that they're leaders of this planet. Lizzo was the old ruling class, and Jack Black was this rehabilitated Imperial officer. And I just love his whole little take a little sip, sip, and join us. And it turns out they did hire the Mandalorian fleet to protect them, but there's a condition because the Mandalorians can only protect them in space. And here on the planet, they have a problem with a coordinated malfunctioning droid issue from all these old Imperial programming droids, formal battle droids. And it turns out the Charter won't allow their constables to carry blasters within the city. So while they can defend them from space, they can't here. But Din Djarin and Bo Katan are not contracted as constables, so they're not under any sort of law at the moment. So they try to get Bo Katan to do this by saying, hey, if you do this, we would recognize your system, Mandalore, as a sovereign system, and we would petition the New Republic to recognize it as such. And Din's in because he hates battle droids. So we go to meet the leader of the security team, the guy who's in charge of all the droids, and it turns out it's Christopher Lloyd. So it's like just bam, bam, jab, jab, uppercut in terms of cameos here. And he talks about how the stupidity here is that the people voted against shutting down all the droids as they simply can't live without the droids' service because they gave up manual labor years and years and years ago, and society would collapse if they didn't have the droids working as their service population. So this guy wants help tracking down the malfunctioning droids, and they have to go downstairs to talk to the Ugnaughts. Now, the Ugnaughts don't want to listen to Bo Katan, and she's like insulting their droids and everything else. But remember, Din spent time with Queel, and he lets them know, and he speaks their language, and not their little language, but he speaks to them in a way that they understand, especially when he says, I have spoken, and it's negotiation time, and there's this back and forth between Din Djarin and the Ugnaughts, and lots of I have spokens, and it was a great throwback to season one. But now it's time to head to the loading docks and see what's up. And this is great because when they get there, there's this they're trying to talk to a battle droid, and Bo Katan is trying to be friendly and collaborative, and, and Din just starts kicking the super droids to try to figure out if any of them are going to react. It turns out one of them does react, and there's a fight sequence chasing. They chase it down, they eventually take it out, and they find this card on it, like a business card, so to speak, but it's for this place called the Resistor, which is a droid bar, which, by the way, is awesome. When they walk in and the music just stops and all the droids turn around and stare at them, and Bo's having this, trying to have this conversation with the bartender, and she's trying to be all polite, and the Mando's like, screw this, and pulls out shock device, threatens the bartender, tells everyone no one's allowed to leave, and they come to an understanding here that the droids that are in this bar are actually worried, just like the humans are. They're actually worried that the humans are going to replace them if this problem keeps going on, because it's going to cause the humans to want to get rid of all the droids, and they don't want that. They want to be able to continue to serve, because these are a bunch of old droids that are old, refurbished, many of them dating back to the Separatist times. They don't want the New Republic to scrap them, and so they want the Mandalorians, or specifically Bo-Katan and Din Djarin, to help find these rogue droid problems as well. And as they continue to find things out, they take this droid that they shot, and well, as they're talking to the bartender, I should say, they find out that the droids here drink something called nepenthe, which is like a lubricant that also has like healing protocols within it, and it turns out that there was a spiked batch that was contaminated with nanodroids, and someone put it in there. And when they go to do the dissection of the droid that they took out with this programmer that they've met, they find out that there's nanobots that have been injected, manufactured by the Techno Union a long time ago, requisitioned by the security officer, which the tech ends up saying, oh, that was Commissioner Hellgate, who's played by Christopher Lloyd. He's the one who orders them. And they go upstairs, and there's this showdown with him as he talks about, I never gave up on them. I won't give up now. And he turns out he used to be a separatist who followed Dooku, and he's giving this speech about how I'm going to turn these all back into battle droids and take over this planet. And Bo Katan just stuns him with a stun dart. Problem solved. Time to, get our permission to meet with the Mando privateers. And Bo Katan is stressed about meeting Axe again and suspects he won't follow along. And she's right, because she comes here and says, I'm back to reclaim my fleet. And he's like, yeah, it's not yours anymore. I've grown quite fond of being in command. And she's like, well, I challenge you. And so there's a showdown. She kicks his ass, and he gives this whole speech about how you're never going to be the true leader of our people, because you can't even take the Darksaber from him. And he points to Din Djarin. He's the one you should be challenging. And now we get the speech. Axe doesn't want anything to do with Din Djarin because he doesn't have Mandalorian blood. And this is where I love where Bo-Katan rebuts and says, you know what? He took the creed, just like our ancestors. And you have to remember that our ancestors were not Mandalorians before they took the creed, before they bathed in the water, before they did all of these things. And, Mandalore came to the planet, fought the Mythosaur, established the creed. Like, before that, they were just people, like random people. They became Mandalorians not because of a bloodline, but because of the creed. So, that's the way of things. And Axe rebuts and says, well, according to our rules, the ruler of our people must have the Darksaber. And Din offers it up to her. And she's like, it's not a gift. You can't just give it to me. And this is when they explain the Darksaber problem away in a brilliant manner, where Din Djarin says, when I was exploring Mandalore, this blade was taken from me by that Mando killer droid, right, that trapped him. Bo-Katan rescued me, slayed my captor, defeated the enemy that defeated me, so therefore wouldn't this blade belong to her again? And Axe replies, it would. Boom. They just solved the Darksaber problem. He gives Bo Katan the Darksaber, and the cutaway shot here is the Mandalorian standing here and Bo Katan standing here as she turns on the Darksaber, and there's the two of them with the backdrop of the sky. And I just was like, oh my God. And I just realized that because I'm wearing a green shirt, it makes it's all fuzzy looking because of my green screen. I don't care. What a way to end this episode. And again, Bryce Dallas Howard coming in. I swear, every time she does an episode of The Mandalorian, it's just one of the best episodes of the season. And I know some people are going to say that this is more like a side mission, side quest sort of episode. I don't agree because she gets the Darksaber out of this. So it's a pivotal episode in the storyline of the Mandalorians coming back together. Because remember, the focus of this season is we're going to take back Mandalore. That's it. That's the focus of this season is take back Mandalore, and we're heading in that direction. So this is episode 6. We've only got is there 8 episodes, I believe. Let me double check here. I think there's only 8 episodes per season, but I always forget if it's 8 or 10, and I watch so many damn shows. We're gonna take away. It's 8, so we've only got 2 more episodes to go. So yeah, this is all about getting back to Mandalore and retaking the planet. So great way to move us in that direction. Bo Katan is firmly established now, and she's going to be able now to get all of those old Mandalorians who wouldn't follow her previously because she didn't have the Darksaber, and now she does, and she has the fleet. Nice little bow tied on top of this episode. So, loved it. 10 out of 10 as always. Let me know your thoughts on the episode. Like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Support if you can with memberships, super chats on live streams and premieres, super thanks on uploads and YouTube shorts. And don't forget the Patreon page as well as our Discord. Links are down below. See everybody in the next episode. Until then, may the Force be with you. This is the way. I have spoken.